Welcome to this 125 FPS tutorial. I will first talk about how to configure the game through commands. Then I will introduce two software which are very important if you want to be competitive at the game. Then I will introduce all the basics of codjumper and deep dive into more advanced tricks. Here is a list of commands that you can type in the console of the game or that you can add into your configuration file. You have some commands to have better connectivity, some to see how many FPS you have, to be able to set your FPS as well. It's very important that you have always 125 FPS and that you don't move below that. For the save, it's quite common that you do a jump, you fall, and so in order to avoid falling without saving, it's best to put the saving button on the mouse wheel. That way you can spam the save command. In the end, you also have jumpers having specific commands which will add extra HUD over the game, where you will be able to see, for example, your max speed, your current speed, your position, when will a nade you throw explode, which will help you greatly to understand what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. If you want more commands in order to increase your performance, I will put a link in the description to a website which is listing many commands and that has description for each of them. Now I will introduce you two software that will greatly help you in game, maximizing your potential. The first one is called rinput. It allows you to send the raw mouse position into the game, because by default the game kind of interpolates your mouse movements, leading to inaccuracies and making you miss jumps, especially when they are difficult. To use rinput, you want to run the software as administrator, and also in the properties, in the target, at the end, you also want to add the name of the Call of Duty 2 executable. Now I will introduce you Intelligent Standby List Cleaner. This software allows you to have more steady FPS. When your FPS fluctuate even by a little bit, you're more prone to missing jumps because your jump size will be reduced. It will not be reduced because of your own skills, just it will be reduced because your FPS are not steady. So using this tool greatly helps to improve the performance of the game, and personally, since I have it, my FPS are always 125 and never go below that. In the description of the video, I will put a link to Jumpers Heaven Discord, so if you have any question, you can put them there. Let's start with the most basic of all, the strafe jump. In Call of Duty 2, if you use the pistol, you will see that the maximum speed you can achieve is 209. Thankfully, thanks to the game's physics, if we go a bit diagonal or if we use the directional keys, we are able to go faster than this. If I were to try this jump by going in a straight line, I would not be able to pass because I would be too slow. To do a straight jump, usually you would want to start at a 90-degree angle from where the jump is, and you will want to press the W key and then a directional key like A or D. At the same time you're pressing A or D, you also want to move the mouse in the same direction. That's how to do a basic strafe. In the game, the size of gaps is measured with in-game units. Any gap that's between 220 to 231 units will be qualified as very easy. Anything between 231 to 238 is still an easy gap. From 238 all the way to 244, you have a medium difficulty gap. From 244 to 246, you have medium hard gaps. You can start to feel the difficulty on these ones. And after 246, you're on hard and very hard jumps. 247 and 8 being hard jumps. Most difficult maps utilize mainly 248 unit gaps because it can be done quite reliably by good jumpers. 249, 250 unit jumps are very hard. They are much harder to perform reliably, even though some of the best players will be able to do so. If you want to push the limit to the maximum, you might want to go all the way up to 251 and 252. 252 being the maximum size that we're able to pass. It's very unreliable. It's super hard and maybe almost impossible. When you will be doing bigger gaps, you might see that it becomes much harder to utilize a simple 90-degree strafing technique. This is a bit too basic, and thankfully there are better techniques in order to pass big gaps like this one. Usually, you will want to be a little bit closer to the edge, and you will want to have a wider angle. You can be closer or wider as you want. Being closer is still better than being further away, but the closer you will be to the edge, the wider you will have to open your angle, because if you start close to the edge and let's say you have a small angle like this one, when you will have to turn to pick up speed, you will not have that much time to build up. Also, it's good to start by pressing W only for a little bit until you reach 209 of speed, because from there you will be able to build up speed when you are already yourself at the max speed. Then for strafing, it's mostly some training. There's not a specific best way that beats them all. There are some tricks. For example, you can lean on the side in order to see how close you are from the edge to position yourself. It can help to be more consistent, having always the same starting point. Also, in the end, I like to give a little bit faster shift of mouse in order to jump in a more straight line. So if we put together all of these, we look at something like this to pass a bigger gap. Also, it's good to note that you want to jump as close as the edge as possible, and you want to be as much as possible on the straight line, because if you go diagonal, you will have to cover more distance, hence you will require more speed. One skill that's for me the most important when it comes to strafing is positioning yourself. I think it's quite underrated, because when people will think about improving their skills, it will usually not be about where they position themselves, but more about the mouse movement and so on. But I can tell you for sure that on most maps you don't have straightforward gaps which are just face to face. You have a lot of small platforms with weird directions and so on. And so if you had two players with the same level of skills, I'm sure that there are thousands of ways to pass this gap. One of them could be to do simple 90-degree angle like so. I'm sure it would be possible to pass, but a more simple way would be to go in the corner and do a circular jump that will allow you to build up more speed and to directly have the right position to pass the jump. So this is something that you will want to think about. It's not just about the mouse movement, it's also where you're starting on platforms. Always try to think why you're positioning yourself a specific way, and if you do it, what would be the benefit. Now that we've learned strafe jump, I will show you how to walk faster, how to do wall speeds and wall jumps. To walk faster, you can just press W and the directional key A or D. So you want to look a bit diagonal and to spam the key. Your speed will go from 209 to between 210 and 220, making it a bit faster to do, but you really want to go in a straight line as much as possible, otherwise you will lose speed. To do a wall speed, you need to press the directional key that will push you against the wall, as well as the W key, and your speed will vary based on the angle you're looking at. The maximum speed you can get doing a wall speed is 258 using 125 FPS. So if you reach that speed, you don't need to move your mouse anymore. You won't be able to go faster than that anyway. Now, if I only use the wall speed technique, I still won't be able to clear this jump. And I will show you right now. So I'm at the speed, and if I stop, I don't move the mouse at all, I don't do anything, I won't be able to clear the jump. The speed is still insufficient. That's where we go into the wall jump technique. To do a wall jump, ideally, you will want to have your speed between 258 and 251, but 251 on the wider side, because starting from 258, let's say it's here, you could reach 251 in the inside and also on the outside. You never want to be in the inside, because you will have less of a room to do a strafe in the air, and it's that strafe that will make you gain speed and clear the jump. So from 258 all the way to 251, maybe 248, you're good, and you will be able to clear the jump. To do so, after jumping, you need to move a bit your mouth, so kind of doing a very small strafe. If you over rotate on the left side, you will see that your speed decreases much more, like this. You can see, even though I move the mouse, I'm still unable to pass. You really want to find a sweet spot where you will keep gaining speed. That's the secret. And also, you don't want to start rotating before jumping, because if you do so, you can see I'm also losing speed. It's only when you're up in the air that you will gain speed during the strafe. So if you combine a good timing to jump, a fast movement to be directly in the good position to gain speed, and if you have if you don't over rotate, that's how you do a good wall speed jump. I can try to show you on the bigger gaps. Just note that usually above 245, if you know how to strafe jump, you will never want to use wall speed to pass a jump, because it's more unreliable and there's a jump timing you need to wait. So for example, if I do a strafe jump like this, you will see I'll be able to load and directly jump again without having to wait. I can directly do the jump again and do the jump again and so on. But if you do the same with the wall speed, it doesn't work. After you load, you're actually much lower. You can see on the screen. So the time penalty for waiting this timer is usually not good, and you will only want to do wall speed when the map requires you to do so. So now to pass this, I will try to be between 258 and 251 of speed. I will jump and I will do a very quick movement to be directly in the position that will make me gain the maximum amount of speed. Hopefully I can pass this kind of easily. So yeah, that one was quite good. No over rotate, a good timing, and a sharp swing. Now let's learn about mousing. Mousing is also a jumping technique that will allow you to jump further, but it's different than strafing in a way that you will not press A and D. It's simply you pressing W, jumping, and then moving your mouse in the air. In practice, it looks like something like this. Mousing is quite useful for jumps that are easy, so for maps that you want to speedrun with easy jumps. It's better than strafe jumping, because usually for strafe jumping, let's say you land, then you need to want to be sideways and then start a strafing movement. Whereas for mousing, you don't need to be as much on the side. You can just press W and jump. So it results in a smaller time loss in overall. But mousing is not only useful for small and easy jumps. You can actually do big gaps using mousing, like 248 and 249 and so on. But usually it's less reliable because the mouse movement is kind of hard to get, and it's also harder to know where you are in space compared to strafe jumping. Another kind of jump mousing is good for is for all kind of jump which is a bit sideways like this. If you do a normal strafe on the surface that's going downhill or uphill, you will see that your speed isn't very high, because when you press the directional keys on the plane that's not straight, you lose a lot of speed. A good way to pass these jumps is simply to do using the mousing technique, because you don't lose too much speed. This jump is going upwards, but it also works for jumps that goes downwards. So if I do a jump like this, you can see doing strafe, it's quite hard. Now if I do a shabby mousing jump, I'm very easily able to pass, even if the technique is inaccurate and imperfect. Another basic kind of jump you will find are side jumps. You have two kinds of side jumps. Some where you will have the wall sticking out. Then it can go all the way up to 15 units, which is super hard. And you have jumps which is more like a longer area to clear, or both of them. On these jumps, the more easy ones, you can keep using the mousing technique we saw previously, by simply jumping and then moving your mouse and looking the direction you want to land. This works for simple jumps, but it's something that's not suitable for harder ones, especially when it sticks out of the wall. For example, this one, it's almost impossible to pass doing mousing only. It's not very optimal for that. The best way to pass this kind of side jumps is to press W and then in the air press the directional key that goes to the side you want to jump, as well as doing a small strafe with your mouse. In practice, it would look like something like this. You jump, then you press the key and you turn your mouse. This kind of jumps you can do two ways. You can keep doing the mousing way like this, or you can do a strafe around it and try to pass. Now let's see crouch jumping. Crouch jumping is simply a jump you're doing while being in the crouch position. This allows you to pass jumps with a ceiling that's quite close to your head, quite low, and on which you will hit your head. You can perform crouch jumping doing strafe jumps, doing mousing, or doing bounce any moment. You just need to press the crouch key as soon as possible. So for example here, it would be possible to pass without it, and with the right timing, I can pass. There's also a trick you can incorporate into doing this. You can do a pre-jump and then do your crouch jump. The trick in this is that when you're doing a pre-jump, you can see that there's the jump timer, and when the jump timer is on, you're actually doing a smaller jump, so you're slower to go up, and it allows you to make it much more easy for you to time the crouch key. Another moment it can be useful to do a pre-jump would be, let's say you have a hole in the wall, you want to go in there, but if you do a normal jump and then a crouch, the problem will be that you would jump too high and you would miss it. For this, you could do a pre-jump and then jump in there, because the pre-jump will allow you to have a lower jump. Now we will take a look at nadejumps. So before I explained that strafing, you can only clear a gap that's a maximum size of 252 units. But the thing is that there are many maps which will require to make gaps which are bigger than that. So to do so, we can use nades. To do a nade jump, you just need to throw the nade somewhat close to you. Basically the more damage you will take, and the better the jump timing will be, the further or the higher it will allow you to go. So here we try to show you an example of jumping further. You can see we are able now to clear the more than 253 units quite easily. I'm not sure at how much unit in length you can jump, but for height we can go for a total of 85 units based on the test I did myself. So normal 125 FPS jump would be 42 units. And if you had a perfectly placed grenade at a perfect timing and perfect distance, you will go extra 43 units up. Here I will show you an example of how to use nades to do a jump that's too high for you. So you just throw the nade, get the good timing, and then you will be able to clear this jump, which otherwise would be impossible. You can see it's much higher. So having the nade placed close to you and having a good timing to jump will allow you to pass those easily. Let's talk about nadeglitch. So the nadeglitch is a glitch that allows you to move much faster. To do so, you need a slide, so a wall on which you can slide, and you need to throw a nade. At the exact moment the nade will explode, so 0.1 second before it explodes, you need to jump and touch the wall at the same time. If you don't want this to count as a nadejump, after you successfully did the glitch, you can reload your position and still have the slippery state. On long runways like this one, you will gather a ton of speed. This is how it looks. Now let's learn about bounces. So bounces in Call of Duty 2 are different than in Call of Duty 4 and other games. Here we utilize a bug that makes it so that when we do a pre-jump and then fall from a height and then jump again, we have a boost of speed. So to illustrate this, usually the best way is to jump, go a bit sideways to pick up more speed, and then to jump at a specific angle for which you will have to train to get the hang of it. And it will look like something like this: jump sideways, and then you want to get a good timing to press space and jump. There's a trick you can do when doing bounces. It's to load your save just after doing the pre-jump. So it will look like jump, load, and then you can see I pass the jump more easily with more speed. This is because if I pre-jump then go forward, you can see my speed struggle a lot due to the loading penalty, whereas if I jump, load, I can go directly to full speed. So it can be convenient when you don't have too much space. Yes, it's a bug from the mod, but so many players used it into runs that now it's something common. I would not consider this cheating. It's something quite common. And also it's good to note that there's a command that's quite useful for doing bounces, and it will be this one: bind M wheel up or M wheel down go stand. So it's like when you will scroll on your mouse, it will send a jump query to the game, because getting the exact right timing for bounces is sometimes different or difficult. Another kind of bounce, this one that doesn't require to pre-jump, is the ones which are on surface that are very sideways, like this one, the surface that are good for mousing. So this kind of bounce, you don't need any pre-jump, you just want to do a strafe on the side and then to spam your bin that will allow you to jump. So just doing a strafe, spamming the key, and then you can see I'm able to pass this kind of bounce. Every time it will be sideways, don't jump, you just want to go and to get the most speed possible before landing and jumping. Now let's talk about more advanced bounces. So almost all bounces have the same principle. Between the moment you will do your pre-jump here and the moment you will land to do the jump, you want to accumulate as much speed in between the two moments, because that's what will be the most deciding factor on how far you will jump. This one is a good example because the landing zone is very close to the moment you will jump. So if you were to just jump and do a basic strafe, you can see we are just overshooting the landing. Problem being, we still want to be able to gather a lot of speed because this landing is quite far. This jump is not so easy. So here we will want to go as far as possible on this side in order to go diagonal and build up speed. We will want to jump, do a load bug, and try to get as close as possible of the landing and hope we have a good trajectory. So I will try to perform it live. Oh, well, you see I even overshoot and went past the jump. Let me try to land without overshooting. And so there we go. So There's a lot of ways to create bounces and so on, but the principle is always the same. You want to build up as much speed when going down, and if the landing is far, trying to also stay in a strafing position where you will have a right angle to build up speed. Now that you know about bounces, you can know that the final boss of bounces is what I would call the chaining bounces. So chaining bounces consist of multiple bounces in a row. This has a kind of snowball effect where if you miss the first bounce, it will be much harder to finish. So you need all of them to do them almost perfectly at the right angle with the right speed. On the last bounce I do in this, I delay a bit my last jump. This allows me to select the direction, otherwise I would have gone too much on the right side. Now let's talk about the reset glitch. So the reset glitch is something that allows you, after you did the jump, to reset your jump timer. So the jump timer is the number you see right now appearing in the middle of the screen. It's the time needed for you to perform a normal sized jump again. In a map like this, where two jumps are chaining each other, I will show you how it looks if I'm not using the bug. So I will pass the first one, and then the second one I will be unable to reach because I just did a pre-jump. Same here, if I jump and then want to try just after to do the strafe again, I'm unable to do so because of the game physics, it slows you down. The thing is, when you have slippery surfaces like this one, you can do a jump, and after touching the slippery surface will actually allow you to do a jump with a normal speed like if you didn't do any pre-jump. So for a map like this one, it's quite useful. You have everything you need to avoid losing speed as much as possible. So you will do your first strafe, reset, and then do the second jump again. You can also perform this glitch on bounces. It would work the same as doing a load glitch, which also cancels the jump timer. You just need the bounce which is next to a slippery surface. So you will have to jump, touch the slippery surface, and then you're unlocked. You don't have to suffer from loss of speed from the pre-jump. And this allows you to clear difficult bounces like this one. From now on, we will go into the advanced jump section. I will talk a lot about angles, because having the right angle in the game is what makes you gain a lot of speed. In order for you to understand well what's angles, I will use a tool called anglehelper, which is present on Jumpers Heaven servers. So here you can see on the screen the tool into action. So you have a red bar in the middle, two green bars which do move, and one white bar in the middle of the screen, and that one actually doesn't move, it stays at the middle of the screen. So when you're in the air and you want to do air strafing, basically when you go on the right side, you always want to have the right cursor on the left side of your white bar. The closer it is to the white bar, the more speed you will gain. When you do a switch, you will want to go as far as possible from the right bar to the left bar. Now let's learn about switch jump. In order to do a switch jump, you just need to start doing a normal strafe, then press the counter strafe key, and you want at the same time that you start pressing the counter strafe key to turn the mouse in that direction. So it would look like something like this. And you want to perform the switch just before jumping or mid-air. In practice, doing a switch jump would look like this. And so you want to do a switch jump most of the time when the starting position and the landing position are not aligned, like you can see here. If I were to do a normal straight jump, I will only have this little space in order to position myself properly, and finding the right angle to jump there will also be quite difficult. Whereas doing a switch jump, I can utilize all this space, and also when you perform the switch, you usually go in a straight line, like I saw in the previous example. and that's what helps you a lot, and that makes street jumps more easy for passing these kind of jumps. The difficulty with street jump is that you need to change direction at the same time you press the counter strafe key, and also you need to have the right angle with your mouse. If you do not have the right angle, you will usually lose speed. Because all actions need to be performed quite fast, it's much harder to learn than strafing, and that's why switch jumping requires more practice. We will see another kind of advanced switch. This one is a wall jump switch. So we need to do a normal wall jump, but in the middle we will have to switch position, and this is quite hard. It's very precise because you need to have two right angles. You need to have the right angle for the wall speed, and if you do not, or you over rotate or something like that, it will impact a lot your switch. A different kind of jump you have are air switches. So air switches work the same as no regular switches, except that instead of doing like I'm doing right now, switching at the beginning of the jump, you will switch in the middle of the jump. The main difference being that because you have more air time here, after you go from, for example, WDA to WD, after you move your mouse for the WD, you will want to keep moving the mouse a little bit into the direction you turn, which will allow you to gain extra speed. Take care, because if you over rotate the mouse, instead of gaining speed, you will actually lose speed. Now, if we compare air strafe to air switch, so if I just do a normal strafe and try to get as much speed as possible, you can see I'm still not able to pass. This is because if I want to gain speed, I need to do a kind of circle shaped jump, which is far from being straight, so much more distance to do, and also you lose momentum after the jump, whereas when you do a switch, you actually gain more momentum in the beginning, which allows you to get faster speed and also better direction, because you do 90 degree and then 90 degree again. Actually it's a bit less than this, it's more of a straight line. Let me try to show you this with an example. After you know air switches, the single ones, it's good to know that you can also chain air switches. Like you can see right now, I don't need to do only one, I can chain the air switches, and the better and the faster you will switch to the right angles, the better it will be. For a big gap like this one, which is the last one of the map called switch jump, good for training, you could do this gap by only switching once, but it's much harder than switching twice. Reason being, again, you do more distance by only switching once, because you won't go on a straight line at all, more like a S shape, and also you will not gain as much momentum because you wouldn't gain the momentum from the switch. So let me try to show you this by passing the gap. Oh, forgot to jump. There's one kind of air strafing I didn't talk about before, because this one is more advanced. It's also about strafing in the air, like we did for the switches. This one, we need to stay always parallel to the wall, like this when we will go through, and it's all about angle. If you have a bad angle, it will do a bit like when you're doing a wall jump, and you will lose speed. And also you always want to press the two keys which are opposite to the wall. So if the wall is on my left, I need to press W and T at the same time, while trying to stay as much power as possible. I don't know if this has a specific name, let's call it like air sliding, something like this, like a strafe sliding, whatever. and about 540 speed. And you can see by keeping the turn, I'm able to gain speed and not lose. Now let's talk about slides. Here you can see a type of slides where you have two slides on both sides, and if you want to gain speed in between them and not lose your speed, you will actually have to do a switch jump just before landing, like you're seeing right now. It's the only way to keep your speed. We don't exactly know why, but if you're not doing the switch and you go on the straight line, you're much more likely to lose a lot of speed, or at least you won't gain much more. This slide is invisible, it's in front of me. You can see I'm working on it right now. This kind of slide works by clipping into a texture, and when your body is through the texture, it allows you to do a slide. I will try to clip into it to show you. See, so I don't have a lot of speed, and you can see it was quite far to reach the end. So if you want to gain speed on this, it's exactly the same as doing air switches. You just want to switch as much as possible, looking left, right, left, and so on. Here, you could do doing only one switch if you were perfect, but it's much more simple to do two switches, and in order to be as straight as possible in the end and to utilize the momentum that you gain when you're switching. So let me try to do it. I like to show it to you. You will also find slides like this one, which are a bit sideways, you can see. To do this, you will want to start doing the best strafe as possible, and then you will also want to use the keys that will push you against the wall. In the beginning, your angle is more oriented towards the wall, and as you will slide, you will want to broaden the angle in order to gather speed. Practice, we do like this. And that's it. One kind of slide that's quite difficult are half pipes. As you can see, these kind of jumps are very steep and usually very long, and we will use this at our advantage. So usually you will want to start entering as close as possible to the edge, and the secret key will be to press S. Pressing S when you will enter the pipe will allow you to fall in a more straightforward way, and then you will want to press the strafe keys until you exit the cupping. You will also have to look as much as possible in the inside, and will slowly go back to looking forward as you are exiting. Doing this will allow you to exit the cupping as early as possible, which is a huge advantage, because even if your speed is not that high when you will leave the cupping, you will be able to clear all the gaps in front of you like this wall, because of the simple fact that this is so steep. Also, having a big air time and doing the big jump in the air will always allow you to snowball, have some kind of snowball effect where you will gain much more speed when landing. It's better to have a lower speed but more early than to have a high speed and do a smaller air time, because when you will land the second time, you will pick up less speed. So in practice, it will look like something like this, trying to stay as close as possible, trying to still have some good speed to exit. Now let's see ladder tricks. There's a lot of tricks with ladders. The first one will be about how to maximize the height from which you will jump. You can see that if I do a normal jump from the ladder, I'm being pushed because my head hit the roof. This is the same as crouch jumping. Instead of doing a normal jump, you will want to crouch and jump, and then you see that I didn't hit my head and the jump was much wider than it was before. I'm actually hitting the wall behind. If you have to really optimize the jump and take every single unit you can, because it's super far when you want to land, you need to look at the top left corner of my screen. There's a HUD with the position X, Y, Z. You want to look at the Z position, which is 457 right now. If you want to be completely optimal with your ladder jump, you want to be 2 or 2.5 units below, so it will be 455.5 or something like that. It's quite hard to do though. You need to really be super sync between the jump and the crouch. Usually I just go 3 units below. It leaves me enough room space to do the jump and very quite optimized. Now the second trick, you can see that the ladders are all diagonal. So if I were to do a normal crouch jump, it would be quite hard to grab the ladder. Thankfully there's a simple trick for this. You just want, if you want to go on the right side, to look a bit on the right side of the ladder, and then you will see that I'm directly going diagonal. And then we can repeat, optimize, look a bit on the left side this time, crouch jump, and so on and so on. Let's say you have a ladder like this one that's quite far, and so when you want to grab it, usually you will go a few units down as soon as you grab a ladder all the time. And for example, in my case right now, as soon as I grab the ladder, I fall down because it's just too far. So the way you want to approach this is, as soon as you start having the animation of grabbing the ladder, you want to look on the right side, jump, and re-grab the ladder. I'm showing you in slow-mo because it's going quite fast, so I cannot explain at the same time as I'm showing you the trick. So let's show it. If I do a good old speed jump first. The ladder slide. To do a ladder slide, you need to grab the ladder, and as soon as you grab it, press the A or the T key while looking in front of you. In practice, it looks like this. You can see that I'm able to slide at a constant speed. Take care, because as soon as you're doing the slide, you cannot increase your speed. So you need to make sure that before landing, you have a fast strafe, and that you look in front of you as fast as possible, because the more time you spend looking at the ladder, the more speed you lose. Now let me try to do the wall jump. This is a bounce into ladder slide into air strafe. Ladder corner jumps. Ladder corner jumps are kind of jumps where you're jumping from a ladder into another ladder which is behind the corner. So what you would want to do is first grab the ladder, and when you will jump, then you will want to press A to strafe on the left side, and maybe S as well, not to go too far in front. And then you will want to grab, and sometimes you will, because you might fall down, you might also want to incorporate the jump trick where you grab and then you jump directly again. This can be a bit annoying to practice on, so I will show you. Here I'm jumping on the ladder just to move a bit faster. So you will want to jump, press S, A, and then do the jump to pass the corner. Now we will see two tricks in one go. First one is ladder mousing. Ladder mousing is useful when you have a jump like this one where the landing is just behind and that the landing is actually quite far, so you want to gather as much speed as possible. Because you really don't have much space, you cannot just turn around and try to do a normal strafe. You need to utilize mousing. On top of this, here we need to crouch because the ceiling is quite low, and the last trick we can use to pass this is to look at the angle that's 14.5, something like this, which will allow us to start pressing S directly without losing any time. Also, we can look on the top left corner, the position HUD. So the maximum position in height I can go is 47.8. And if we want to optimize the jump at which we will jump, the height at which we will jump, we can go 3 to 2 units below. Once we've done this, we go back to a 14.5 angle. Then we will have to do a crouch jump and mousing in order to get as much speed as possible. Putting everything together will look like this. ladder chain jumps. So you want to chain jumps on ladders when they are quite spaced out, far away from each other. Jumping directly from one ladder to another one will allow you to keep your speed, to keep your momentum. Also on these ones, they have a particularity that they are very thin and they are placed quite high. So as soon as you will jump to try to grab it, basically you will fall. It's almost impossible to stay on it. So to do the ladder jump, you want to think about which angle you will look at. This angle depends on which direction you want to go. In our case right now, I will look a bit in front on the right, in front on the left, in front on the right, in front of the left, and so on. And so in practice, it will look like something like this. The last ladder trick we want to have a look at is some kind of speed glitch. To do this, we need to grab the ladder, and while we grab the ladder, we want to look at an angle of 14.5 approximately. So 40.51, 40.47, something like this should be good. If you want to know at which angle you want to grab the ladder before being on it, you can take a look at the position HUD once again. So on the top left corner, the second line, the first value. So for example, right now I'm looking at 14.3, 14.4, 14.51, which should be good enough. Then you can save and keep this position. Then to do the ladder boost, as soon as you have this angle, you don't have anything else to do. You can press either W or S to pass the jumps. Slippery jump are made by working on slippery textures. You have many maps with this. The difference with the normal ground is that on this ground you will be able to build up speed. To build up speed the quickest, you need to do strafe and switches. The angle to get is kind of hard, you need practice. It differs from normal strafe. Also, if you want to move on this and for example go on the left side, you will need to jump and then go on the left side. If I want to go backwards, you can see I cannot. It's very difficult to stop going in the opposite direction. So the best way to do so is just to do a jump. This jump is a interesting one because you need to build up a lot of speed quickly in order to pass, which is making it a good example for us. So we'll start by doing a big strafe, and then I will switch and try to keep the best angle in order to pass this gap. This jump is also a good example. So on this one, we will want to slowly start to strafe on the right side, and we want to go diagonal in order to get as much speed as possible to keep building speed basically. Mantle. On some maps you will have the ability to mantle, which just makes you go over walls like this. The thing is, this mantle area that you can see in yellow is actually much wider than it looks like. And so when you will have a wall that's next to a mantle area, usually you can glitch it and use that to your advantage in order to climb over some places you should not be able to. We've arrived at the end of the tutorial. I will put all the configurations, timestamps, link to Discord and the software I use in the description. Feel free to correct me or to ask questions in the comment section of the video.